We got a lot of kids.
Yeah, so those were the biggest two expectations.
And just for the recap, um, we're talking about heavy is the head that wears the crown, and heavy is the hand.
That holds the head.
If it ain't messy, it ain't me. I swear.
And clearly we've started off messy.
Yes. um, yes, we have started off messy, man, and God's gonna bless either way. I'm 2 for 2. Y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all something. You got to be really focused on these podcasts when you're trying to have a lot of moving parts. But I prayed before we came on here, and God's still gonna bless.
Amen.
So I'm gonna go real speedy through. This my boo, my love, my wife, my underboss, the queen of the house. 13 years in the game, as far as almost 13 years being married. We got a lot of kids together. A lot, fellas. We got a whole lot of kids together. I'm talking, we got like 40 kids.
No, we don't.
And a lot of people ask us, how do we get through? How do we do our thing, and how do we make what we have, look so good? And I tell them it's really no secret to what we got going on. It's always gonna be. There's no easy story. It's always gonna be about blood, sweat, and tears at the end of the day. My wife has a saying, what do you say about love? What you say? You said love is kind.
Love is patient. Love is kind.
Or you said love should be
hurt.
kind. And
Right.
I have a saying that says pain is love. Because I feel, you don't really know how to really develop a full understanding of that word until you feel pain in my head and in my heart. Unfortunately, that's just how I feel. I think that's why there's a picturized a heaven and a hell. At the end of the day, and darkness and light. At the end of the day, if you didn't have one or the other, you wouldn't be able to define the difference between which is what. So it all works hand in hand. So we're going to talk about again what the personal goals was in short and summarize, just to give people, because Gemma forgot to hit the magical button. So y'all was probably watching us talk like mimes. But we was actually dropping some jewels. But God knew, and it's okay. And I got these new, y'all should see my setup. I got these new boards and stuff so I can keep notes and stay on track. So I'm going to stay on track minus the mute button. But so my expectations before I was married was pretty much generalized life. I just really thought I was going to eat, drink, and be merry. Have a pretty much, lackadaisical, anything goes kind of relationship, and just kind of, what they say, just let things happen, dude. Just be groovy. That's that was my foresight of, if and when I was going to be married. That was the goals I had, for myself, just to live a regular life. I didn't have any, super high hopes. I didn't want to be super rich. I didn't want to have, a lot of materials. That wasn't my thing. My mother always challenged me with this phrase, you can have the mansion on top of the hill or the valley, the shack in the valley. And she'll tell you I always chose the shack in the valley because I didn't want to have to deal with the responsibility of the mansion on high. And I kind of used that across the board in my career, if you will. I never wanted to be a supervisor. I never wanted to be a manager. They got too much responsibility. They got too much stuff going on. Too many moving parts. It's not a good thing for a guy like me. Keep it simple, stupid. So that's kind of what I wanted for my life, and that's kind of things that were manifesting in my life to a certain point until I met my wife. So, babe, recap in a summary, what was your personal goals for yourself before you got married?
Before getting married, my personal goals were do good in school, graduate, go to a great college, pledge, a sorority, get a great job. And unlike my husband, I wanted the nice things. I'm not materialistic.
Damn.
But I wanted
She
nice
had to say
things.
it like that.
I mean, we're different in that aspect.
Why can't nice things be like? Why can't
the shack in the valley to me?
Why can't that be a nice ass shack though?
Okay, in hindsight, now that we're older, it could be a nice shack.
Yeah, it ain't gotta be no broken down.
My
shack.
perspective of it was, it was not.
Y'all seen
The
Scrappy
less
Doo
is more.
Dog House?
What didn't work for me. I wanted the nice things. I like bling. I like shiny things. I like quality things. I wanted to be able to go out and get whatever it was that I wanted. So to do so, I needed to have a good job. I wanted to be a doctor.
She wanted to be a doctor.
Things changed.
Things change, people.
Had a baby early.
Ooh. How old were you when you had that baby?
I was 18 when I had my first
I
child.
was born by the river. Go ahead, baby.
So definitely wouldn't take that back. It's my pride and joy.
Shout out to Lil Walt. Walt, baby, love.
Definitely deterred. My plan that I had in motion. Didn't go to necessarily the school that I wanted to go to or the college that I wanted to go to, but I achieved my goals. My goals changed over time, and I made new plans. And in life, that's just what you have to do. You go with the punches and you make new plans. So prior to marriage, when I was younger, it was very structured. This is what's going to happen. And then life happened. Life took place. And I'm not upset about that.
Life is like a box of chocolates that's been sitting in the back of your car on the back dashboard in the summertime, about 98 degrees, and then you finally remember, damn, I left the chocolates in the back dashboard, and you go and open the shit and it's all melted. That's what life is like, because what you can do, you can either throw that box of melted chocolate away, or you can do the re-rock. Go ahead and put it in the refrigerator or the freezer, go ahead and let it lock back up, and really get to enjoy that chocolate in a whole new way that no one else doesn't normally get to enjoy it, and it gives you a new perspective on, at the end of the day, it doesn't look like what I thought it was going to look like, but it still tastes great.
Right.
The flavor is still there.
Right.
That's what my box of chocolate looks like. My baby got hella flavor. We just was sitting on that back dashboard a little too long for some years trying to get our shit together. And, once we started eating, we found out, the cherry is still in the middle. Well, it's at the bottom, but it's at the center and the middle bottom.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. So, we jumped around, and again, y'all gonna have to bear with me because I love life and the mute button was on. What did you expect from a relationship once you met a fella like me? And again, you said you was focused, like a bow and arrow. What's the bullseye? That's the Marvel character, right? No, Hawkeye. She was Hawkeyeing. Yeah. And I was more on some like Bruce Banner, like Hulk shit, because I'm a kind of a nerdy kind of guy. And I like to study and read stuff and educate myself. But then I was definitely an angry Mickey Ficky, and Hulk would come out a lot, and Hulk was used as a weapon, and it's just horrible. Then I met my underboss, and we forged a relationship. So this relationship, what were your expectations after being introduced to me and me finally saying, baby, we need to be married? And you said, okay.
I don't think that's how that went. But my expectation of the relationship after being married were security and stability. Security for some underlying things that I hadn't properly healed from, as far as feeling a sense of rejection or abandonment of some sorts.
Not to cut you off, but I just think I want to chime in because I think that's most of our situations of an expectation is based off like what I said earlier, past pain. When you've been wronged as a child, where you felt like you were powerless, you feel like when you get in that same position, if and when you cross that threshold, you wanted to, X, Y, and Z. You expect X, Y, and Z to happen under your power and under your watch. Continue.
So yeah, rejection, abandonment. That's why I yearned for security. The expectation of stability came from, as a child, I moved around a lot, went to a lot of different schools until about middle school was where there was more stability in my life. Went to one middle school, well, a couple of middle schools. I finished off middle school and then went to one high school and graduated.
Y'all, fun fact, we both from Philly, right? And we 6 years apart. And we pretty much, for the most part, and like in an eerie way, we'll kind of follow each other. And like, y'all ever seen the mailbox with Sandra Bullock? What's Keanu Reeves, right? That's the mailbox. Yeah. Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. Like, they was in the same place but a different time, and they was writing little letters through time and stuff. But I must have not got my letters, or she didn't get mine, or some shit.
That's not the mailbox. That's message in a bottle or something, isn't it?
It's the
Isn't
mailbox.
that what that's called?
I don't know. Fact
It's
check,
something
man.
like that. They were putting messages in the bottle when they were floating through the
No, it
ocean.
was the mailbox.
Okay.
She kept going out to the mailbox.
Okay.
It was a little time machine. So we just missed each other. Then we found each other. Then we was like, this can't be real. For good reasons and bad reasons. But now we found the good reasons. But go ahead, baby. I'm sorry.
So yeah, stability for me in marriage was, the family, having a stationary home.
Was I stable?
No, not at all.
Well, goddamn.
No, not at all. And so, when it comes back to the realization of what my expectation of from you, it was in a sense trying to change exactly who you were.
A
Because
non-stable
you weren't-
person.
You using the
damn.
word. I'm not saying that you weren't stable. It was just you operated in a different fashion than me. I was used to structure and having plans and really kind of on the straight and narrow. And for you, you really lived in the moment.
I'm a
I think is
moment
the
kinda
best
guy.
way to put it. Like you took everything as it came at you. You talked about aspirations,
I
but
talked
not so
about it.
much what the plan was. People had to realize what the plan. When I tell my friends and everybody that I talk to, I said speaking to you is like trying to crack the Da Vinci Code, and I felt like you operated like that. It was really always trying to crack a code of what your methods were to your madness, so to speak.
Well, I'm Neo from the Matrix. They call me Mr. Anderson. You gotta know binaries and hexadecimals to fuck with me. Go ahead.
So not in an insulting way would I say that you were unstable, but the level of stability that I was seeking or requiring, I felt that you had the potential to fulfill. I don't feel like you were in a place where you necessarily wanted to do that. At
Show
the
you
moment.
right. We're gonna talk about where I was.
Yeah, that's the best way that I could put that. And so, I mean, for the most part, those were my two highest expectations of the relationship, which I didn't feel like was a lot, but those two expectations led into
Stability and security.
other minor things that were expected of you, or
Woo.
what I felt like you would just come to the table with.
Now this is a crazy story because I've been married twice now. So this is where my underboss got her big muscles from dealing with a guy like me. For those of you who have prior relationships, which most people do, I like to draw a little line in the sand because you might have a prior relationship and you might have a prior marriage. Two different things. Some people, have been life-living partners, been together for a while and kind of treat it kind of the same way, but it's just a little bit different once that paperwork go in, what I mean? It just gives a little, I think the paperwork puts a little extra weight to it for the good and bad reasons. But ultimately, it's the same agenda, is to be with somebody who you love and you feels like loves you completely and is willing to get to know you from top to bottom. unfortunately, I think most of us think that top to bottom is in that moment when we meet that person and don't realize that top to bottom goes to the distance of your relationship. And that top changes and that bottom changes because you're constantly growing through the relationship. So it's always going to be kind of a roller coaster. So with that being said, my expectations from my relationship when I married you were very skewed to a degree. Now, going through the gauntlet, I think there were some, I don't want to say, damn, I lost it, not unrealistic, well, I'll speak, raw and forthcoming. My expectations were, in the control aspect, from my past pains, from my past relationship, and from, just my childhood. No woman will control me again. That was my expectation. You will love me and be with me for the rest of my life, but you will not control me or have any say so in my life. I think that was one of my most heaviest fucked up situations, but overall, other than that control part, I felt like my expectations were, the infamous ride or die. Whatever I touched and whatever I did, you were supposed to, be there, rain, sleet, hail, snow, and whatever mission I was on, and you were supposed to love me so much that whatever mission I was on, you were supposed to support that mission, whether we succeeded or failed, over and over and over again until we made it, so we can finally say, nigga, we made it, and so those were my expectations in short, because at that juncture of my life, I started stepped into rapping, and was in between the recession. Y'all remember the recession? Well, I didn't get fired because of the recession. I got fired because I had a bad attitude. I told y'all about the Incredible Hulk situation, so I had some anger issues. But aside that, when I got fired, truth be told, totally off the record, totally off the record. It was it looked, good, not good, but it blended with everybody else because the recession would happen. Everybody was losing their job anyway, so it worked out for me. But I started rapping. I had my I was already divorced. I had my 2 younger kids with me at the time. Just moved back to Richmond, and I said I got the crazy rhymes, you know what I mean, and I said I'm gonna give them my all, and we gonna make it, and somehow in my head, that was my expectations. I don't care, if I was, skydiving, my lady's supposed to support me, be there no matter what I do, and surely she's gonna be there long enough till we make it to where she can kick her feet up and, blah 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 blah. That was my expectations. You can't control me, but I need you there for me and support me.
Which did not fall in line with me because, again, very structured person, likes to be in control, and I like to see the other end of the tunnel. And so
you like to see progression.
Not even just progression. I want to see I need a glimpse of what's on the other side of where we're going.
Okay. And
before we even get to the progression part. And that was lacking for me.
And fellas, a good portion of y'all hopefully have learned and understood, if you've, got some tenure in your relationship, that a lot of us has been there in that situation. Whether you're a contractor and say, I'm going to be the biggest general contractor in the world, and I'm going to get all these contracts, baby, and we're going to be a big conglomerate, and, we're going to build and flip these houses and this and that and the third, and you don't even know how to build a porch yet. You know what I'm saying? You don't even know how to, knock a nail in properly. Everybody has these big expectations and big goals, but they don't really know how to pursue those goals and live up to their own expectations. Again, to a point prior to marriage, I was, like I said, just groovy, go with it. And then that transformed into, hey, I'm on a mission. Is you in the cockpit or what? On some Tom Cruise Top Gun, crash and burn. But that didn't line up with her expectations. And so how do we deal with that reality, fellas, when we say we're in love and we say we get married and we say that we can do something with a life partner, but it doesn't go quite as well. And in the meantime, in between time, while we're thinking about that, we're going to take a little breathe.
Hey guys, this break is brought to you by Get More Graphics. They take care of all our vinyl banners, stickers, card magnets. They do our embroidery, special occasions, birthdays, you name it. They got what you need, man. Just click the link below. I say click the link. That's that Doja. Check out the link below and go holler at them, man. They'll take good care of you. Continue watching the show. Just remember, if it ain't messy, it ain't me.
Oakley, dokely, dokely, oakley. Oh, let me get that up out y'all way. So we back at it. At the end of the day, oh no, my babies is not being babies. See, she always keep me sharp. She's like, you gotta turn the volume up, baby. So those were our expectations, and we know going into a relationship that everybody's expectations is not what they have dreamt them to be, and we don't know what to do with that energy. Sometimes we don't know what to do when we've entered into a relationship, and our expectations aren't being met, because sometimes that gets to a very heightened level of disappointment to a certain degree, right? If your expectations are not being met, then that means you're feeling disappointed. Is that fair?
Frustrated, disappointed, absolutely.
Oh no, you about to name a few words.
I could have went down the list.
Hold these swords tonight, ain't we? Never mind synonyms and antonyms. Never mind words that sound with Alex.
I mean, but that comes from a certain level of having an expectation hangover on your, for yourself, because we go into situations with other people, like you said, that are evolving, constantly changing, and then you have these expectations that you've placed on someone without knowing, the underlying cause for why they act the way they act or why they operate in a certain manner. I feel like over the almost 13 years, actually we've known each other for 14 years now.
Almost 15.
Yeah. When you get to know somebody, you start knowing their patterns and behaviors. And so if I knew then what I know now, I would have had a little bit more patience with how you operate and how you maneuver. And so maybe those expectations probably wouldn't have been as frustrating when they weren't met, because I would just be a little bit more patient.
So how many of you have survived the expectations hangover, which basically means you didn't initially get out the deal what you thought you was going to get out the deal? That's really what we're talking about. We had personal goals for ourselves. We had dreams, goals, and aspirations, and we go get into a relationship with somebody, and we thought, the vibes was right, and we thought that we communicated enough to go ahead and say, hey, babe, you want to be with me forever? And she was like, yeah, babe, I think I do. Okay. And then, you put on rings and you spend money and you have ceremonies and everything's cool. And then you really get to lock in on their patterns and stuff on a daily basis. It's not we were a long distance relationship to a certain degree, to a point. So there's no, weekend or every other weekend. And, we get to enjoy each other in spats. This is a, 24/7, 365 type situation. So you really get to start to analyzing things,
And let me just piggyback on that.
All
because
right.
Prior to marriage, we did not cohabitate.
We didn't cohabitate.
And so I'm a person who didn't really like living with people or having roommates in general. And so it was quite an adjustment for me after marriage. I know that it's probably the expectation that once you marry somebody, is you move in together and everything just falls into place.
So what you said, you would have got married in your head and you would have not moved in with it's like we can get married but we can't move in for 6 months.
It was an adjustment to get used to it.
What if they did that? You can get married but not move in with each other for 6 months. I don't know.
It wouldn't work because that's what I'm saying. Because once you get into that adjustment period, it is like a culture shock almost because you learn the person on a day-to-day basis. Like you just said, it's not like for us, we lived 2 hours away from each other when we were dating for the most part until, I moved closer. So it was, I would see you every weekend, and then it was business as usual Monday through Friday. Well, Monday through Saturday because I worked at a bank. And, I went to work. I did what I needed to do, getting my son back and forth to school, daycare, or whatever the case may be. And then, I came down to see you on the weekends.
Being and that married, was great.
We woke up with each other every day.
Every day,
business
fellas.
As usual was Monday through Sunday.
Every day.
Outside of work, I'm coming home to the same person every day.
Every day. Was there a synonym and anonym for every day?
And so then there were some expectations that you can admit to with having someone in your life every day on a day-to-day basis, because there are expectations that you have of your spouse.
Fellas, let's get messy.
Wives especially.
We got simple expectations. Don't interfere with none of our shit. Love me as I am. Ride with the mission and keep the noodle wet. That's all fellas' expectations is when we get married. Somehow
and fix a hot plate.
Oh yeah, you gotta fix a hot plate. My baby burned my pancakes the first day. It's all right. My baby know how to make some pancakes, some bacon, eggs now, nigga. Yeah, so, and that's to our I think plight is the word I'm looking for. That's my other big, we've been playing words with friends, so I got to say all my big words again. Mom, all the big words and stuff I got butt whippings over, I'm using them now because she been beating me up in words of friends, and I had a good day yesterday, but it ended up being tied. It was like 2-2. But yeah, those expectations, fellas, for the most part, they say, we're logical and women are more emotional. So we have a more logical approach to what we think our general expectations are in a relationship, and which is a 1, 2, 3 kind of scenario. And women have a, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, before you get to, it's levels to their shit. Like they got like fellas, we're like a green onion. You know what I'm saying? Like a wild green, and ladies, they're like a Vienna, like one of them, a red mixed with white, sweet, and a yellow
Vidalia?
Onion. Yeah, thank you, babe. See, I'm gonna use that word, Vidalia.
Viennas are sausages.
Vienna sausage and Vidalia onions. Look at that. But they got so many layers, and then those are the Vidalia ones that make you cry the most if you didn't know it. Like, I don't know. I'm just saying. No. Okay. So anyway, yeah, so things kind of didn't go the way we thought they were going to go. And that caused some friction, because that friction came because we didn't know how to deal properly with our expectations not being met the way we thought they were going to be met. And so that led into some bad spaces, and those spaces led to arguments. Those spaces led to me losing control. Those spaces led to unfortunately infidelity at a point. Those spaces led to destroying our properties and stuff at times, mainly me sometimes, because I'm a destructive person. It's okay. But we didn't know how to deal with reality and how to communicate the reality that we live in within our relationship. And a lot of people have that problem. That's where domestic violence and things, come into place and things like that. People get to yelling and throwing stuff and putting their hands on one another, and it just kind of throws the relationship off. Again, we started out with our expectations and our personal goals for ourselves, and that came from our standpoint, our outlook as a child, and now we're adults in a relationship with one another, and then we have children at a certain point in our relationship, and now they're looking at how we handle our situations, how we handle our arguments, how we handle our failures and accomplishments, and how we communicate to one another, because they're pretty much building their expectation blocks for their relationship. They're going to want to mimic some things they saw, or totally, maneuver to a whole opposite degree, go total left, 90-degree left on us. And so those things brought us to some serious crossroads within our home, and then it gets to be a gang situation to a certain point. Unfortunately, when you have a family to, sometimes I'll say, for the sake of conversation, at least put in your business or go to for refuge, but pretty much just put in your business because
That was his experience, I suppose.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if when you don't know how to communicate properly and stuff like that, you know what I mean, you end up, whether it's a family, a friend, trusted confidant, whatever you want to call it, somebody goes somewhere to get some things off their chest to someone. And oftentimes there's people that might feed you bad energy, but sometimes there's people that are objective and give you good information, and give you enough information to allow you to find your way in your space. Some of us like that fuck you help. They go, goddamn man, goddamn old lady, she ain't acting right, but hey, fuck her, man, goddamn man, we going out tonight, then we finna find these bitches, da 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 da, whoop de whoop. That's not the kind of people I needed in my life to go ahead and help resolve some issues. Those made more issues. You know what I mean? The people that I needed in my corner, needed more of, were those that were saying, hey, how did you come at the situation wrong? Do you even think you're wrong in the situation at all? Was there any compromise? And the compromise, sometimes we feel like the compromise is bending the knee, kissing the ass, saying, I'm just going to accept whatever the other person has to offer as far as their excuse or explanation of why they felt they were wrong or did wrong back to the person. But when you compromise the correct way, I think you give a opportunity for understanding, and understanding as far as the information. You know what I mean? We don't often hear information when we're upset and we're in the moment, and we're having a combative type conversation. We've been blessed to be around this long in the game, and to be a light to some people going through their situation in darkness. Many times, shout out to Cornerstone, in the Cornerstone days, the altar won't left, dry. The pews was full, and everybody had their you can do it corner, and you can do it team. And a lot of people don't have that. They don't have that. So again, in that right, we've been blessed to have people in our corner when we had our expectation hangovers and didn't know what to do with ourselves, to say, hey, you can do it. Keep going, keep going, keep going. But in the midst of that healing and dealing with one another, sometimes y'all may have some in-laws. I don't know if all y'all have they call it a blended family. Once you say I do, mom is supposed to be mom, dad is supposed to be dad, brother's supposed to be brother, and sister's supposed to be sister. But when everybody got like their own fucking issues, sometimes you don't want an extra mom and an extra dad and an extra brother and an extra sister. Now, ideally, when you get married, it's supposed to say it's an addition, in addition to your family, and everything's supposed to be all love. But it don't necessarily work out like that all the time. You know what I mean? Because the devil's always busy, but God's busier. So in your experience, more so you than me, kind of, sort of, maybe more so you. How did you deal with your in-laws? How was your experience with your in-laws when you married a guy like me named Jim?
I'm going to tread lightly
There
on
was a
how
long
I
pause.
listen, because I'm going to tread
Do we
lightly
need
on
to
how I respond.
do a commercial break? Let me go ahead and go to commercial break right now, man.
Okay.
For another brief break, this is brought to you by King Pope Kennels. King Pope Kennels, they create, produce badass American bullies, and they also fabricate custom stacking boxes and whelping boxes for you guys. They make it personal, easy, quick, and efficient to use and adjust. It doesn't pull out. You adjust the fly nuts on the side and slide it back. Stack your dog up. You know the law, stack up or shut up, man. Appreciate you guys. Continue watching the show, and always remember, if it ain't messy, it ain't me.
Okay, all right, all right. Oh, test 1 2. So the in-laws.
Yeah, so
Where's your experience with your husband's in-laws, whoever he is? Just speak freely, speak openly. We're all here.
I'm going to say that I didn't have the best experience from my perspective that I felt.
You didn't have the best experience with my parents.
I felt that the I felt that they tried.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that I wasn't receptive to it. And
That
I
was
wasn't
it?
in a place to receive it
See,
at the time.
we are breaking
that-
through, y'all.
Right. So this and my
But
response
she said that
is
with me
coming
as
from,
well, so I'm starting to get a little weary of these
Because
responses. It sounds
You
scripted.
can't be weary of them because here's the thing. I'm in a place where I have developed a certain emotional maturity that I didn't have going into marriage
Okay.
or as my younger self.
Mm.
And so when you heal from certain things and you develop this emotional maturity, things that I used to view a certain type of way, I don't view that way anymore.
Does healing change your expectations?
It does.
Okay, go ahead.
It absolutely does. And so I had certain expectations of what my in-laws were supposed to be like and the level of acceptance and embrace that I would receive that I do not felt like was the case. And so I viewed that a certain type of way. And so it is not to place blame that the in-laws were the reason why I didn't have a great experience in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It was the time and space that I was in to be able to receive the outpouring of what was being poured out.
Mom, she's saying if we would have got married 13 years later, then
Again, shout out to my in-laws because I love them to death.
Mom,
Conversations have been had. We're in a different space and place right now.
she said if we would have got married 13 years later, y'all would be spot on for a new start. Oh my God, see, God is breaking through. 13 is a biblical number. Y'all need to look that up because I forgot what it means, but it means something great.
So I will say, earlier in the podcast, I had mentioned that I lost my father when I was 8. So
Yes, she did. Shout out to Grandpop James.
that was a barrier and a wall that was placed up that I'm not going to call a man dad. No man is going to, be that image for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a barrier that I had placed that unbeknownst to anyone else, they had to break through as far as that was concerned.
Well, that sounded like my situation. You said so. I'm not calling nobody's my dad. I'm not calling nobody dad. And I went. Now we talking about the in-laws, and I said when I came into a marriage, I was like, ain't nobody gonna control me. Ain't nobody. So we had
Absolutely.
some serious walls.
Yeah.
We are breaking through. Go ahead, baby. She talking about you, Pop.
No, I'm not. So that was a thing. And I wasn't really open or receptive to even building a relationship with a man in that light as far as someone being my father or a father figure to me. As far as my mother-in-law goes, whew, I love my mother-in-law, but strong will. And you know what? God blessed me with a daughter who is just like
Won't he
her
do it?
grandmother.
Won't you do
And
it?
she just as strong-willed as her grandmother. But she was very strong-willed. And as I expressed to her before, for me and the time and space that I was in, hard relationships weren't the top of my list to deal with. And so after a first conversation or encounter that it appeared that it would be a hard relationship, I operated in a space of I don't want to deal with it.
So not to cut you off, my love. So, ladies and gentlemen, like, how many of y'all been in a scenario where the in-laws make or break your marital relationship, or I'm gonna stick with the marital relationship because you know what I mean. Yeah. So, how many of y'all couples out there, the in-laws, I'll be fair, in a long-term relationship, and the in-laws or your partner's parents are not your cup of tea, and pretty much that puts you guys on the brink of disaster when you have to go to a family function, because we know, we good for where you going? Oh, I'm just about to run by mom's house real fast, because we know probably been about 3 or 4 arguments in the last couple of little functions and some snide remarks. So, you know, you go over there real fast and end up being like 2 hours. Then you come back and you either smell like barbecue or you got like a little plate. And be like, babe, I bought you a plate. Oh, they have food? Oh, y'all was over there eating? Oh, you oh, yeah, you ain't want me to come? Nah, it was just a quick little in and out. I put some hot dogs and I was out there, but then the steaks came out. I drunk a beer. Time went by, my bad, but I brought you a plate. You know, you start doing like MacGyver, mischievous type maneuvers to avoid confrontations when it comes to the in-laws sometimes. Now, my particular situation is a little different. As you just heard, her father passed away at a young age, so I didn't have the fortune of meeting him. But I did have the fortune to meeting old Nana. Old Nana. I met her mama. I'm going to call her Nana. You know who you is. Go ahead, Nana. When you see this, go ahead, like, tag, and share, Nana. This is a shout out to you, boo. Yeah, I met Nana, and Nana is a live wire. So, you know what? I'm always speaking off the head, but from the heart, you know. Now I think about it, you know, Nana was kind of like more like, you know what I'm saying? I think that's probably why we got damn vibe, because she is definitely like a, you know,
Listen, no, you need to put words to it because doing all of that.
No, Nana's a go with the flow kind of. She's like, you know what I mean, definitely, you know what I mean, a laid back person.
Definitely lives in the moment and
that
lives
kind of
life
speed.
to the fullest.
Yeah, so yeah, shout out to Nana. So I met her and we didn't really have too many standoffish times. You know, I remember the first time I did meet her, you know, off of Robius, briefly and stuff, and then I met her again. I seen her. No, we met at Robius, then we went to that park, whatever that little water, Haddock's Lake. Yeah, I went to Haddock's Lake, and then we met her at her apartment, and you know, yada yada yada. But she kind of made it easy for me. I ain't gonna lie, you know. So I can't really say I would leave my old lady because but you know, it does bring a challenge sometimes and bring some serious weight on a relationship when the in-laws or your partner's parents don't really gel with you too much, you know. My mom is definitely not an easy cup of tea by far, but she does have great intentions, and you know, like us all, she definitely has her expectations, you know, just as any parent for their child and what they think they're going to be able to, what kind of relationship they want them to be, that they would like them to be into, and to help them develop what they deem your parents as a productive lifestyle for their child. Unfortunately, you know, sometimes it doesn't go as planned, and there's some walls built and there's some walls to be knocked down in that space. But that makes things hard. Again, that makes things hard, but it doesn't make it impossible. So for those of you guys and gals who feel like you're in an impossible space and you're in a long-term relationship with a life partner or a marriage situation, you got to have those tough conversations. You know, a lot of people run away from, they're afraid to say, hey, something going on with your mom, or they don't, you know, they're not really my cup of tea, or, and guys, you know, you don't, you don't want to hear no woman say, goddamn, I don't like your mom. You're like, shit, mommy dearest, like, you don't like my mom? Like, why not? And that just brings contention. Even if you don't like your mom, your partner saying that they don't like your parent, just, you know, that just sends you to a whole nother place. You know, you might not like them, but you learn how to love them over these years, and now they introduce into your people, their extended family now, and it's not working out.
For the record, I never said that I didn't like your mom.
Oh, I didn't say you would.
I know. I just wanted to make that clear. Just clear that up.
Right. So, but you know, they're gonna miss certain chunks, you know, as far as the people watching. But there was some contention there, in the relationship, between you and my mother. But even in that space, Me and my mother wasn't in a good space to a certain degree, so that also added more fuel to the fire. So I know there's a lot of levels and layers to this conversation, but sometimes when you go into a situation and get married to your life partner, and your back home structure or your backdrop is not together, you kind of bring pretty much abuse into a relationship. You know what I mean? In a perfect world, you get to know where people come from. It's like getting a job, You get to find out where people come from. You start to go out on dates and, integrate with that person. And eventually you get to meet their moms and their family members. And, some people do the love at first sight situation. But truth be told, sometimes you might want to, hang around and throw yourself into a few family functions more than usual just to really see the vibe, because, that first 15 minutes, like going to a new church, you're going to get the, hey, glad to meet you, come on in, sing praises to God. Next thing you know, you're on 10 committees. Goddamn, you ain't really like the third committee you was on. The pastor ain't really what you thought it was. Boom, boom, boom. You get to finding out that people weren't really who you thought it was, and that's not really the place that you want to be in to feel secure and to feel that you're in a stable mindset, because being in a long-term relationship can throw your mental stability way the fuck off. And I mean way off. The divorce rate is up, suicide is up, drug abuse is up. All that shit is running rampant right now, and it comes from people not knowing how to deal with their situation. We're all looking for things to cope, or trying to find out how to cope with things. And sometimes we have bad outlets.
There is a very high level of accessibility to distraction in this day and time. We live in a world where everything is media, technology is a lot of levels of distraction. And so I know even from my experience, I could be going through something and I didn't mention anything to anybody, but I'll go on Facebook and I'll see all up and down my, not the timeline, but just the feed. Mm-hmm. And the posts are so relatable. And I'm like, now listen, is the phone like in my head or something? And you start sharing stuff. And
I wasn't talking about you.
Everyone assumes that that's what you're going through, and it may be just something that's relatable, but
8 out of 10, that's what they are. That's why I pop up on your phone.
Absolutely. But it draws in a crowd of people who are also dealing with that same thing. So when I say the accessibility to distraction, you will start doing certain things depending on who you're hanging around and what you're getting yourself involved to. And if that's your focus, then the situation is not going to change. If your focus is, I have a bad marriage, I don't want to be with my husband right now, I just want to go out, I want to party, I want to do this, that, and the third, and that's all you have, and it's like clickbait, and you start involving yourself in that, and you never take the time to really focus on what needs to be done on your part to fix the situation and say, well, how can I come together with my spouse and have a conversation and figure out how we can get to a resolve or get past this issue, and what do we need to do next? So I mean, if I would advise anybody about anything, it would just be leery of the distractions, because they're out there and they're going to be in your face, and you just have to have the discipline and the self-control to say, I'm not going to be distracted with the situation at hand. You can take a step back, you can relax, you can think, you can breathe through it, because you don't want to attack anything in a heightened emotional state, because that leads to arguments and altercations and things of that nature. So take your step back, but don't allow yourself to go get so deep into a hole where you're heavily involved in the distractions that are around you to cause you to do things that you shouldn't be doing.
This world is built off distractions at this point. This world at this point is built to help aid and assist you to avoid all your problems, and then turn around and flag mental health.
It's a temporary fix for everything.
We live in a world built to distract you at every turn and corner, and then turn around and say we have a mental health issue. I think we have mental health issues because, once again, nobody wants to have tough conversations. Nobody really knows how to get through a whole conversation without blowing up. And it carries over into from our personal solo mind to our relationship, our kids, you know, your partner, your parents, and it turns into a destructive situation. And we got to be who we say we are, you know, kings and queens. That's why, again, heavy is the head that wears the crown, and heavy is the hand that holds the head. It's not easy being a parent. It's not easy being a spouse or partner, by far. And, you know, truth be told, we will work harder at a 20-year career than we will work hard at, for a 20-year marriage. You know what I mean? We will let our boss yell, scream, demean us, and you know, figure out how many ways to be a better team member and all these things, and how to give more of yourself and more of your assets and more of your thing to help for the greater good of the team, the job, than we will for our own long-term relationships. And that shows you the state of mind that we're in today. You know, everyone wants to have the kingdom and the palace, but nobody wants to either work to have it, or God bless if you do work to have it, you don't know how to sustain it. So I keyed in on some of the things my wife was saying earlier, you know, certain things that she wanted posed when I said, my mom always asked me if I wanted the mansion on the top of the hill or the shack in the valley. And, you know, at the end of the day, those who want the mansion on the hill, they say they want that, but when they get the mansion, sometimes they don't even know how to take care of the mansion that they get. And you want to, in a relationship perspective, you want to have somebody that yin and yang, that balance, is going to help you be able to accomplish goals, and as you accrue or attain things in your relationship, how to be able to take care of those things. It's like a car. You know, if you don't know how to take care of the car and occasionally change the oil, or God forbid put basic gas in the car just to keep it going, you know, the car's not going to go anywhere. The tires are going to dry rot. You know, the brakes, the metal on the brakes is going to, you know, get soft and, you know, deplete, and the car's not going to be any good to you no more. That's what relationships are. And that's why, you know, sometimes you got to make your shit, you know, taste like sugar. You got to make that hoop. You got to pimp your ride. If your relationship is a pimp my ride situation, you know how to spruce up your situation and make it look good, so you and your people are ride and fly together. Even in a bad situation where people shitting on you, man, y'all be in that mud together. Y'all be in that shit together, and you grow as a family, as a unit, because we have all these expectations and things, and we get in these relationships, and we have hard times, and we get to screaming, we must have met each other for a season. You know, we're not supposed to be in each other's lives, and you know, you get this having those kind of conversations when nobody knows how to heal. You know, I'll take myself, you know, if we've had them conversations, I've said it out of spite, and my wife has shared those things with me, because at a certain time I wasn't changing certain mannerisms and characteristics that, you know, would exhibit positive behaviors in my relationship. I wasn't in a space to receive some of the things she was saying. Again, expectations and communication. And at some points, I really didn't get it. You know, a lot of us are in relationships, and some of us, we really don't understand what the other person is asking of us sometimes. And I think out of I don't know if naive is the word, but sometimes you're really oblivious sometimes to certain things, because you weren't shown those things that people are asking of you. You know what I mean? And that's a part of a wager you have to take going into a relationship with somebody. The expectations that you have, or they might have showed you some of those expectations like level 1, and you expecting level 5 when you lock in and get married. And it was like, nah, all I knew was level 1. Like, that was it. You want omelets. It's all I know how to do is, you know, hard scramble. You know, but I caught you because you know I know how to whip up some eggs. You're like, oh, he know how to make a cheese omelet or whatever, when they drop the eggs in the boiling water and all that, whatever that's called and stuff like that. But no, and there lies the frustration. You know, a lot of people thought you got some things and you didn't get what you wanted, and then we don't know how to either communicate and say, hey, this is not working for me, or better yet, you know, how can we help one another get to those situations, because if I did see you scrambling eggs, that you must have had some kind of, or some kind of, necessity to scramble an egg. So let me help you, show you. You may not know you was just making basic eggs. Let me show you how to, make some dope ass eggs and shit. 'Cause you're supposed to be able to enhance one another. But again, that's part of maintaining your kingdom as a queen and a king in your household.
And knowing your position.
Knowing your position, it's a gift and a curse, man. A lot of us want to be the ruler, and especially with this day and age, INDEPEND, however the goddamn word spell, I don't know. You spell it, you got Google, but this world is leading off into a female. Well, they're pushing a female-dominated world, with equal rights and this word of equality, which is dangerous because they're saying everybody's supposed to be able to do what everybody does, but that doesn't make any sense because there's classes of people. You learn different. You know what I'm saying? Everybody doesn't do what everybody do, so why would a woman do everything a man does and vice versa? That makes no sense to me, but that's the world of society we living in, so to my wife's point, not effectively knowing your place, and not in a belittling sense, but not effectively knowing your position, how to be a asset to your team, your kingdom, could be very detrimental to your relationship. And I'm gonna keep beating the dead horse, but that comes through communication. Mm-hmm. A great baseball team, a football team, they all got good communication. Coach calling plays from the sideline to the QB receiving that communication and giving it to the guys huddled around them, and everybody does their part. If it doesn't work like that, everybody's losing. They getting ran over, interception, touchdown. The other team hitting home runs out, and it doesn't make you competitive to survive in this world in your relationship if everybody doesn't know their position.
And everyone's household is different. And there, again, like there's no secret to staying married for a long amount of time. There is no real way to say how your household is supposed to operate. For me and mine, when I speak about knowing my position, it was really walking into and embracing the fact that God naturally makes a woman a nurturer. And the definition of a nurturer is caring for and encouraging the growth and development of something or someone. And so, back when we were going to church, everybody kept saying, oh, you're married now. The woman sets the tempo of the household. And I'm like, why is it always on me when something's going on? Why do I set the tempo of the household? And I was objective to walking in that. Mm. But there's a certain level of power that us as women, we hold in our hand. And I had to embrace the fact that I do set the tempo of my household. And that was a piece of me getting back the control that I felt like he was taking away from me because he didn't want to be controlled. Mm. So that was how I could have a piece of control, but still allow myself to submit to my position.
Right.
And I'm okay with it. I'm a very independent woman. I can achieve things. I'm very smart. I can do a lot of things. I've done a lot of things because I've also been a single mother for a period of time before I even, got married.
Is it wrong to be an independent woman because, that term and that song and that slogan is running rampant now. So can you be an independent woman in a relationship?
Absolutely. And so that was what I was just about to say. Like, I identify with all of those things, but it doesn't make me less of a partner. And so that's a twofold conversation right there, because because it's running rampant and because of how it's being flagged, we have men that are scared to be with an independent woman because he feels like, the woman is not going to lean into their femininity. And that's not always the case for every woman just because they're an independent woman and know how to go get it.
So independent mean, I'm going to say this, as a 42-year-old now, maybe that means like you can we're working the same agenda, but you may have an independent thought on or strategy on how to accomplish that agenda.
On your own. You're an adult. You're independent.
Well, I mean, yeah.
You have something to bring to the table. It doesn't have to be taken so literally that independence means solo. That's not what it is. Because at the end of the day, I know that any man would appreciate having an independent woman if the man, for unknown reasons, can't provide for the home, loses his job, falls ill, or whatever the case may be. And you have a woman that doesn't know how to go out there and get it, or know how to bring something to the table because they've relied on the man to do everything, because they got so hung up in the fact that they couldn't present themselves as a person who could educate themselves or have some level of forward motion or be career driven or do any of those things. So I think society has kind of made that a topic of saying that it's in a negative connotation, that an independent woman is a negative thing, and it's not, because you always want your partner, your life partner, to be able to fulfill the supply and demand of what's necessary in the household. Any relationship is a business, period. There's certain levels of supplies and demands that need to be fulfilled on both sides of the fence.
Right.
And so, like you said, knowing your position and operating in a fashion where each one is supporting each one, that's the only effective way that you're going to raise your children anyway, if you have children.
Yeah.
Be it a male child or a female child. Because everybody has to have some level of wherewithal to be able to do what they need to do just to survive in life. And we can't get so hung up on these gender roles that are perceived. Because do we want to raise our boys and have all men out here not knowing how to cook because the gender role is that the woman is supposed to do so? Absolutely not.
Oh, she's saying fighting words. I'm about to shut the podcast down and leave.
You
She's
don't
saying
have to
fighting
shut it
words
down. It's
now.
not fighting
Oh,
words.
hell no.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, yes, a man wants a hot cooked meal. I used to have my arguments about it. I'm not objective to it anymore. But what I'm saying is
We got them
can't-
pancakes, Nana. We got them goddamn
we can't
pancakes.
get so stuck in the gender role of saying this is what a woman or a wife does, and that's what a son or a husband does, and you can't do either of the other things. Like,
I'll interject to that point and say a great positive example would be like the new school dads. You know what I mean? The new school dads like to get, well, my community anyway, I don't know about some of y'all other suckers, but, you know, we like to get nitty gritty with the kids. You know, we changing diapers. You know what I'm saying? We helping with the breast pumps and everything. You know what I'm saying? We in the mix with the situation. Oh, shout out to my baby and Dr. Ken. I can't remember his name. What's his name?
you make me forget his name all the time.
'Cause he
I
looked
think
like-
his name is Andrew something. I don't even remember his
The
last
man
name.
bone structure was immaculate. You understand me? The man had like a chiseled chin, nose, cheekbones. Like there was like no flaw in this guy. But he afforded me the opportunity to be able to put my hands, to be the first hands to touch my son and deliver him. But, you know, so that to that degree is what I'm talking about in my example, as far as, you know, being able to get in there as far as on the level of what a woman does. And most of those things, like my wife was saying, that is, you know, cliche what they call gender roles. But fathers, you know, we need to be, because at the end of the day, society has changed. Yes, I'm sure in the 60s and 1800s, you know what I mean? We read that in the Bible. The man was on the mission. He was out hunting and whatever, miles away from home. And, you know, the mom or the woman of the home was, you know, local, you know, taking care of the immediate things. And when he would come back, you know, he got to help, you know, men. If the woman is mending the clothes and the kids, and the guy is mending the house and in the yard and in the field and stuff like that, with assistance from the family. But as far as the main priority, they're taking care of those things, and that's not the status quo today. So I think that gives room for today's guy to go ahead and get in there. Just like I know some of y'all gonna throw up, you know what I mean? And I ain't gonna stick my foot in my mouth too much, but you know, sometimes you know, women, they like to go out there and you know, do maintenance on their cars and things like that, you know what I mean? Just to make sure, you know, my old lady, she like, hey, if I need to change my tire, we got AAA and freaking AA and roadside assistance. But you know, she the kind of female that like to go out there and get her hands dirty just to make sure she on point, because God forbid, you know, say she got the kids or something like that, and You know them same triple A's
don't
and
get
double
stuck.
A's. They might take 45 minutes, or you might be in an unsavory place where you say, I need to get up out of here now. You know what I mean? You need to be willing to go ahead and get out the car, know how to go, switch your tires, and get up to the next exit, to where you can get safe and you and your family safe. So those what I mean as far as, the gender blending roles, if you will, and bringing a balance to your home. With today's day and age, because again, those rules, a woman changing the car, like women won't driving back then. You know what I'm saying? Women won't doing all that to be in a position to do that. So now that they're driving more and more, you know what I'm saying? Every now and then, we teach our daughters that. So, if you're stuck.
That was just what I was about to say.
Yeah.
We had the whole era of girl dad, girl dad. It was a hashtag. It was all over the place. And if you are able and willing to teach your daughter to do these certain things, and that's how you all bond and develop and build a relationship, why would you be objective to the woman that you get involved with being able to do those same things? Or why would you feel threatened by it? Like it's an irony in it to
Yeah,
a certain
it's a
degree,
never-ending
because
story,
it's like,
once
I'm going to teach my daughter this,
Right.
but I would never want no girl that I talk to exhibit these behaviors, because they just take it out of context
Right.
and it gets out of control. And so for me, that's where the big question mark is raised for me. I'm not saying we should all be out here saying, oh, forget all gender roles, like everybody does everything, because personally speaking, if my husband is here and he getting up, he going to cutting the grass, listen, go cut the grass. It's certain things I just don't want to do. Like, for real. And the running joke around my house is the fact that when I'm not working and doing what I need to do, I like to take a nap. And so if this affords me the opportunity to lay down and take a nap and rest my brain before I get focused and do whatever underboss stuff I need to take care of,
Right.
then I'm going to take my nap, and he's going to do whatever it is that he needs to do around the house, and I'm okay with that. But I don't want to be oblivious to how to sustain myself in life in general if something should arise.
I think that's a good point, and I think that also gives confusion to them tough conversations we're not having, because we do train our daughters differently, and those are good things. To a point, those are good things. We want to teach them, basically, at the end of the day, how to be able to fend for themselves and survive. Yes, again, you want security, you want stability once you enter in a relationship. But before you get to that relationship, you need to know how to defend and take care of yourself to the best that you can. With that being said, those girls being trained like that, and those people training their daughters like that, it could be a little intimidating to the newer guy, running into a girl like that, which brings a whole nother, some frictions and things like that. Him feeling less than a man, potentially, if his parents didn't raise him a certain way, and had certain conversations about, today's woman and what's going on in this world. And today's woman doesn't mean, again, there has to be this abrupt shift and change. It's understanding that I don't want to say they're not soft. It's not the Little House on the Prairie, situation no more. It's not, again, access to information. It causes some women to want to learn how to do more for themselves regardless. You know what I mean? So
It cycles all the way back to what we were first talking about the expectations when you come into a marriage or any type of relationship, because those expectations start in childhood. And so, like you said, there are some people who are intimidated by the daughter who was raised to know certain things. And so that man probably came from a situation where he's like, another woman's not going to control me. And so then he meets the woman who knows how to take control, and she's like, well, you're not going to put me at bay. I'm not losing myself to you.
Right.
And so we cycle back into that thing of those expectations and being able to come to a resolve. So, I mean, like...
But the resolve doesn't come sooner than later, because a lot of us don't know how to effectively communicate.
That part.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown, and heavy is the hand that holds the head. You got to know when each other are working together. You got to know when one's tired and you need to step in. You need to know when certain goals and dreams that you expressed when you first got into that relationship are not being met, and revisit on how to accomplish those things. Because, again, that's the independent part, where we always had individual goals for ourselves, and we merged those goals. I don't want to say we put away and quit those goals, but we merged those goals together once you decide to go ahead and get into a long-term relationship with somebody. Again, men, we're definitely, for the most part, we're definitely the ones who, hey, we quickly, okay, your goals was cool, but let me go ahead and do my thing. And of course, we know some females out there now who have that same power and agenda. Now, I'm like, look, I'm finna show you that I got the bag, and I'm in the position, so you chill out and you go pick up the kids and you go, you know what I mean? That's just kind of where we at in today's society. But if the communication is not had, then someone's gonna feel lesser, and no one's gonna feel equal.
And listen, this world is not Build-A-Bear. We cannot keep going and entering into relationships feeling like we're going to build somebody and fix somebody.
Yeah.
That is a weight that you just shouldn't even want to carry on your shoulders. If a person has attributes that you're already questioning before you even decide to say I do, or if certain things aren't working out,
Facts.
Communication is key. Have the conversation. See if y'all can come to a resolve before you even say I'm going to take this any step further or waste each other's time, because it's so many people out here, and the biggest mistake that they're making is they trying to build somebody up, or they're trying to fix somebody from some unresolved stuff. When you acknowledge that some healing needs to take place in either yourself or another person, have a conversation about it. But you're not always going to be that person that's going to provide that healing if you are not a licensed therapist, counselor, or psychologist or psychiatrist. It's just that's not your responsibility.
I'll tell you what the responsibility is this break.
This last break is brought to you by MeetTheDoobies.com. Go to www.meetthedoobies.com and check out and stay up on all the freshest gear. They got the fresh rolling papers, all natural, slow hemp burning, rolling trays, rolling papers, you name it. Also, go to our private group on Facebook, Meet the Doobies, and we'll keep you up to speed on all the greatest and latest flavors and crazes out there in this crazy world. Also, as well as Doobie Fest. The first annual Doobie Fest is coming up September 24th in Brunswick, Virginia. You guys check it out. We're going to be horses, family fun, food caterers. We're going to have a pop-up with vendors out there who have all kinds of situations hosted by Mike Wu.
All righty. You like it. I love it. That communication makes our positions heavy. Lack of communication before you get into the relationship, lack of communication while you knee deep in the relationship. Nobody wants to hurt people's feelings, have tough conversations. And unfortunately, with lack of communication and miscommunication, all the infamous monsters are uncaged and let out. And God forbid, if you're going through a breakup or a divorce, you say the nastiest things. Communication is a motherfucker, man. We can think of the nastiest shit to say to somebody. We could think of the most horrible stuff to say to somebody to try to get out of a situation, rather than find the most positive and constructive things to say to somebody with the same consistency. That means over and over again to help work through a relationship. And that's, to a certain degree, because, again, you don't want to be definitely in an overall abusive relationship and you giving all positivity and the person's just, but for the most part, we're quick to get frustrated, let things build up, talk to everybody else about the problem in detail, talk to our partners about the problem with lack of content in detail, and then these monsters come out, and it's very unfortunate at the end of the day. So again, where we come from, our personal goals, our marital expectations, and intertwining with our in-laws, things like that. Our kids, we talked about our kids, what they may potentially see in a relationship, you know, from their parents or a step parent. What's your hope? I'll let you speak first. What's your hope for our children? Given what we've been through, where we're at, and where we're going. What is the underboss's goals for the ranks?
And like in general or relationship wise?
No, I'll say for our kids in general, and I mean all the above.
In the grand scheme of things.
How would you want? Yeah. So how would you want our kids to approach their relationships based off of how we've gotten through the situation in our relationship?
I mean, effectively, I guess that's why I'll say in the grand scheme of things, because I think that what you do with your life is a very heavy determinant about how successful you'll be in a relationship. So what I would hope for my children to do is go after what truly makes them happy. Don't fall subject to other people's expectations, and try to obtain things, you know, for a level of recognition or just to be seen by people. I feel like I'll go back to my daughter because she's very strong-willed. She has a clear idea of what she wants to do in life, you know, as of now, and she's only
She for loco.
she's
she
only
loco
9.
ese.
But at the same time, my concern for her is she'll get so wrapped up in trying to be a people pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I want for my children to recognize in their lives is that they're doing it for them first and foremost, and not for other people. I mean, we hear our children all the time say, I want to make mommy and daddy proud. And that's great. Like, I definitely want to be proud of my children. But what will make me the proudest of all of my children is for them to be successful, you know, in their own right. Go after things that they truly have a desire to go after and have a level of completion that is fulfilling to them.
Right.
And I don't think that that's pushed enough. And so I want my children to definitely know that if they decided to take a smaller scale job and live in a smaller apartment and have the shack in the valley,
A nice one.
like,
Ain't got to
right.
be a nice one. You know?
I mean,
Just a nice
if
shack.
they wanted that, then, you know, do what you need to do to sustain your life in the long run. But don't go out here being miserable trying to please other people and do stuff that you don't even have an interest in.
So I'll piggyback that part, and I think it's like a sperm and an egg. Like I'm finna, you know what I mean. My big thing is speak up. Is speaking up, and there's a lot of things that come with speaking up, but speak up for yourself. So when my underboss talked about the, you know, don't be a people pleaser, that means knowing. And again, this is just my heart. What my heart wants for my kids. You know, they all got their own little personalities, and we all try to teach them. But my biggest goal for all my children is to be able to speak up and articulate what you want. And if you can do that, you have better eyes in my head and heart for somebody to be able to effectively help you get to where you need to go. And if you're running into a situation, be able to effectively know how to, you know, maneuver and get out of a bad situation, or get help to get you out of a bad situation. But you got to be able to speak up at the right times. And I think that helps with failed expectations and plans that didn't go how you know they thought it would go, to be able to speak up and say, hey, I don't like this. Hey, can we do something different? Hey, is there something else for me out there?
Right.
Instead of just bottle it up and settle and take, you know, physical and emotional abuse. Again, easier said than done. You know, that's that mental health thing and the layers and the onions that we all have and share. You know, triggers and responses. But I hope that when my kids are triggered, they are able to respond and articulate with a loud lion's roar and say, hey, I don't like this. Hey, I need a change. Hey, I want out. Or, hey, I want to keep doing this. This is what I like to do. Leave me the fuck alone. For the right reasons, not for the wrong. So that's what I want for our kids, man. That's what I want to leave behind. A memory that, you know, we fought the good fight. And we heard that in church before, but the wavelength we on, our home is our church. So at the end of the day, I want my kids to be able to say, my parents fought the good fight. We was able to see them weather through storms respectfully, and show us how to get through. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's what I got for that situation. So the $1 million question: if it ain't messing, ain't me. Would you recommend marriage to people of the world? If so, and why?
Absolutely, I would.
Oh,
I love being married.
Y'all heard that? Ooh, absolutely. Ooh, look at my baby. She like being married to me.
I do. I love being married. I like having a life partner. I like achieving things and doing things, building things, creating things with someone by my side. I like the whole aspect of it, even with disagreements or whatever comes with that. And this is why I work on purpose. Every day I choose to work hard for my marriage because I love being married. So my recommendation is definitely I approve that message because life is better together. I told y'all, as a younger person, I wanted to get away from feeling rejected or abandonment or anything of those sorts, not having long lasting friendships or, early on what I thought were relationships,
Right.
in the younger years, but not having lasting relationships or friendships or anything like that. To have somebody that you can do life with is a pretty cool thing for me. You
Right.
get on my nerves, but at the end of the day, it's just like when I don't feel like being lonely anymore, I know I can turn around and be like, hey, what are we doing today? You want to watch a movie together? Like, those things are fun for me. I love having a family and I love being married.
Amen. Yeah, I'll say at this juncture, I will recommend marriage in my life at this juncture. I had a lot of I'll never get married again, and I had once I got married, I'm not gonna go through this shit, and which basically meant I could have left the situation, but decided to stay in the situation and wield my angry sword around. So, definitely kudos to you for your organic yearning to want to be married and work and fight for your marriage, because I was on my shit for quite a while, but it gave me understanding. Again, heavy is the head that wears the crown, and heavy is the hand that holds the head. And I'm gonna show you a physical gesture that's going like this. You know what I'm saying? When that head gets heavy and you want to hold your head down, your partner's there to support you and hold your head up and lift your head through those tough times. That's where that security and stability comes from in my head and heart. When my wife or a woman says they want to be safe and stable and secure, they need someone to know and respect who they are and recognize their power and independence and what they have to offer to you guys' relationship, and understand that when they're trying to accomplish things for themselves and their family, that they get tired. We both get tired. It's not just the men. We don't just get tired by ourselves. The women get tired too. Hopefully in a perfect world, we just identify with what those triggers and things are when we see those signs that our ladies are tired. And ladies, when you see your husband tired, hopefully you're attentive enough to see those signs that, hey, let's talk about it. Hey, can I do something for you? And that's not a bad thing. Again, we're friends, we're partners, you know what I mean? So you want your, just like at work, hey partner, let me go ahead and take you out for a coffee real fast. Let me get you a donut. Let's go to the break room. Let's skip, leave work early today. That type of vibe, man. I see you need a break. Like, what's going on? What can I do to help? And we know everyone is not in that position. We weren't in that position for a long time. We gave you a little summary, but at the end of the day, we went through some volatile situations at a point, some emotional, some physical, and it was unfortunate. But we're here today. We're here today. As I always say, we're here to, once you get through, when God allows you to get through something, you have a testimony to give. A testimony is a word of encouragement to somebody else that's gone through something that they think they can't get through, to say, hey, we made it. You two have a fighting chance. So yeah, I would recommend marriage. I would recommend a life partner in those regards for those reasons. Because we all need help. we all need nurturing. We all need, it's the day and age where, again, they want the woman to be the super strong thing, and they want the guy to be, I guess, the super emotional thing. But there's a balance because, guys, some of us weren't trained to show our emotions, so that's a whole nother situation that comes into relationships when, we were taught to be so tough that we're not supposed to show that we're hurting and say, hey, I just feel sad. That's taboo in the guy's vocabulary, manly man's vocabulary. I'm sad.
And women, don't beat up on a man when he shows emotion. That is the most attractive thing, when a man can actually be vulnerable with
Baby,
you.
I'm sad.
Let's get through this.
I'm vulnerable and sad, y'all.
Not right now.
I'm so sad. But yeah, we gotta be open, man. If everybody's open to all these distractions with all this sex thing and these gender this and all this stuff, then you could be open enough in your relationship to say, hey, I'm hurting. And hopefully that person respects your pain enough to say, hey, I want to know why you're hurting, and not bash you about your pain. And you effectively get help and not use that hurt as a crutch to push shit onto your partner, because that's a tactic we do as well. We say we use that as an excuse to hurt people with our pain, saying we're trying to get through it when really just trying to manipulate them. But at any rate, so I would recommend marriage. I'm thankful for the level of understanding I have now. I'm thankful for what we've endured. I'm thankful for the place we're in, and I'm very in a positive mind space to where we're headed, in the future. We have a lot to offer. We have a lot to offer our family. We have a lot to offer our children. We have a lot to offer our community, which makes us an asset in my field of training. So yeah, man, I hope you guys, we're going to keep it a little bit short, but we're definitely going to be back and have some communications. Again, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, especially within our space as life partners and marital partners, man. We have a lot of things we want to talk about with you guys, because it's messy out here, man. Shit ain't sweet. So, if it ain't messy, it ain't me. But before we go, I'm going to say this before the camera drops off. I want to leave this. I've been waiting to pitch this game to a channel for a long time. And only thing I can call it, this is going to be a viral clip. It's called a divorce game, right? And it's to really see if you committed. Which camera? Right there. It's to really see if you really committed to your relationship. So, on this situation, you and your partner go out and you have this lavish weekend with your spouse, right? And at the end of the getaway, you guys go and you get up to the little altar, like what's them shows when you marry the people, The Bachelor, The Bachelorette. Yeah, you got 3 couples and everybody goes and they had this banging weekend and they come up to the little altar, all 3 couples and stuff. And on the left side of the altar, they got divorce papers. On the right side, they have a marriage license. So everybody has to sign a divorce decree right there after they have the best weekend of their fucking life. I'm talking about y'all got it in. Y'all, it was just like y'all was young, 15, 13, 18, 19, all over again. The best weekend of your life. So, boom, once you get done, you come to the altar and everyone has to sign a divorce decree. Boom, 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 boom. It's done. Right then and right there. You are officially divorced, legally, non-bonded to this person to your left or to your right, depending on who you are in the relationship. Boom. Now, the kicker is, now that you're legally divorced, the marriage license is right there. How many of y'all will go ahead and sign that paper and say, you know what? I can't live without this motherfucker. I got to have him. I got to have her. I need him in my life. I want to stay with this person forever. And how many of y'all would just go ahead and walk away from the table and say, nah, but that's something for y'all to think about. So, that's my game, the divorce game. If it ain't messy, it ain't me. Don't steal my game. If y'all pitch it to somebody else, y'all make sure I get my credit. I appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. I appreciate my underboss for opening up and sharing. We all did a lot of firsts today. We did our first interview with the mute button on.
Yeah, I got some feedback about how there was no sound.
Yeah, we did our first show with the mute button on for 15 minutes. But we did, this is our first situation together. So it's definitely enjoyable. In that right, man. So I appreciate you, my love. I love you. I know you about to leave me, even though I'm sad and transparent.
I'm just going on a trip. I'm not leaving.
I'm so sad. But yeah, I appreciate y'all, man. Man, y'all stay prayed up, man. Say something positive to somebody. At the end of the day, you need to be able to support yourself. Be able to support yourself. You can support your family if God bless you with one. If you can support your family, then you could be a proper asset and support to your community, man. If it ain't Messi, it ain't me. Peace.